Dear viewers, due to continuous rise in the number of COVID cases and the fears of a new wave, we are forced to switch the program to voiceover mode for a few days. As soon as the situation gets back to normal, we'll be back with the original format of the program. Thank you for your cooperation. Hello and welcome to the new series of Rishtya IAS. I am Pooja Devedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about National Voters' Day that is celebrated on the 25th of January every year. So these are the many topics that we are going to discuss. Let's start with the news. As I have already told you that every year since the year 2011, we have been celebrating National Voters' Day. So it is celebrated on 25th of January every year. And it is very important for us to know about the events that have taken place for the National Voters' Day of 2022. So first is that this is the 12th National Voters' Day that we are celebrating today. And the theme is making elections inclusive, accessible and participative. It envisages focus on Election Commission of India's commitment to facilitate active participation of voters during the elections and to make the complete process hassle-free and a memorable experience for our categories of voters. National awards for the best electoral practices for the year 2021-22 will be conferred on state and district level officers for their outstanding performance in the conduct of elections in different spheres. Not only that, NECI publication Leap of Faith, Journey of Indian Elections will also be released. Another publication, Pledging to Vote, a decadal journey of the National Voters' Day in India will also be launched. And a National Voter Awareness Contest on social media, My Vote is My Future, Power of One Vote will also be launched. Microblogging platform Koo has released a multilingual guide on voter rights and responsibilities to empower the first-time voters to make informed decisions during the upcoming assembly election in 5 states. So, if we talk about the background, since the year 2011, National Voters' Day is being celebrated. And it is done so to mark the foundation day of Election Commission of India, that was on 25th of January itself in the year 1950. And the main purpose of the National Voters' Day is to encourage, facilitate and maximize the enrollment, especially for new voters. So if we talk about the significance of voting, what is voting basically? Voting is a procedure. It's a tool that is employed in democracies which helps the transition of government in a country. Okay. So Abraham Lincoln's idea and philosophy of democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. It can be translated into reality only through voting. It also gives a sense of empowerment to all the people, all the citizens who are included in the forming of a government. So they feel empowered when their votes are counted. Also to make government more responsible and accountable. If they are voted for, then they are accountable. That is the nature of our own democracy. By voting, people can decide the direction of change and development. So India is a huge country. India is a parliamentary democracy. India needs, if not direct, this is not a direct democracy, but through indirect democracy itself, we are such a huge country. So we can have indirect democracy through voting process. To explain oneself, that is, voting helps people in expressing their thoughts on a country, local constituency, or about a candidate through the ballot box. So right, freedom of speech and expression is also a fundamental right. Tell me in the comment segment which article number is that. And you can also write the similar example by citing the article, whichever I have just mentioned. So if we talk about the electoral system of India, first we need to understand how Indian democracy works. So India is a vibrant democracy with people electing their representatives at several levels, beginning from local bodies and panchayats in the parliament. And it's a parliamentary system of government which is based on Britain's Westminster model of constitutional democracy. And it's a bicameral legislature. We have the upper house, that is the Rajya Sabha, and the lower house, that is the House of the People or the Lok Sabha. Parliament also has president. So because we have 3 entities, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the president. So please remember, if it's asked in your prelims exam, president is also a part of it. And elections in India seek overwhelming popular participation, where electoral candidates, they try to woo the voters by promising long-term reforms such as better governance, greater socio-economic equity, poverty elevation. So this is the nature of Indian democracy, Indian parliamentary system. The first Lok Sabha election was there in the year 1952 and elections were held for 489 seats. The total number of eligible voters were about 17.3 crore. Very big deal for a democracy, very big deal for a country which has just got released from the clutches of colonialism and foreign masters. So there were certain electoral reforms that were done pre-2000 to make India a better functional democracy. First was the 61st Amendment Act of the Constitution of the year 1989, in which it reduced the minimum age for voting from 21 to 18 years. And all personnel working in preparing, revising, and correcting the electoral rolls for election shall be considered to be on deputation to the Election Commission for a period of such employment, so that the work of Election Commission could become more robust, more efficient. Electronic voting machines were first introduced in 1998 during the state elections of Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Prior that, it can also be said that it was used in Kerala for the first time ever. Moving on. So, voting through postal ballots is also a very big electoral reform when in 2013, the EC decided to expand the ambit of postal ballots voting in the country. And then we have awareness creation. The government decided to observe 25th January as National Voters' Day to mark the EC's Foundation Day. If we talk about the voting stats in India, in 2014, India had voting percentage of 66.44 as compared to 58.21% in 2009. There were also increase in women voters. And in 2014, India saw a huge surge in youth turnout as compared to previous election. If we have to talk about elections and voters, we have to mention Election Commission. Election Commission is an autonomous constitutional authority which is responsible for administering union and state election process in India. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and state legislative assemblies in India and the offices of president and vice president in the country. The election of these many entities are regulated by Election Commission. Part 15 of the Indian Constitution deals with elections and establishes a commission for these matters. The Election Commission was established in accordance with the Constitution, and Article 324 to 329 of the Constitution deals with the powers, functions, tenure, eligibility of the Commission and the members. The President appoints the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners. They have a fixed tenure of 6 years or up to the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier, and they enjoy the same status and receive salaries and perks as available to the judges of the Supreme Court of India. The Chief Election Commissioner can be removed from office only through a process of similar removal procedure as that of the Supreme Court judge by the Parliament. All citizens, regardless of their race, color, or previous condition of subjugation, have the right to vote under the Citizenship Act, which grants them protection under the 15th Amendment. And we have to talk about how does the entire procedure work. As per the Election Commission of India, citizens are eligible to become voters under the following condition. Every citizen who is 18 years old on the qualifying date, January 1st of the year, unless disqualified, is eligible to be enrolled. Enrollment only at ordinary places of residence. Enrollment only at one place. Overseas Indians deemed to be ordinarily resident at the address and given in the passport, and service voters deemed to be ordinarily resident at their home address. So, a restricted set of voters can also exercise postal voting for those people who do not have the privilege of staying at one place and cannot cast a vote through the EVMs and proper ballots. So, postal voting is there. For those who are members of the armed forces like Army, Navy, Air Force, members of the armed force, police forces of the state, and government employees posted outside India, and their spouses are also entitled to vote by postal ballot. So there are certain issues that are actually having ill impacts on our electoral system. First, we have to talk about money, power, and the freebies. So for expenditure, there are three drivers of expenditure in election: legitimate electioneering cost, party running cost, and TV airtime cost. However, the accounted legitimate expenditure is a mere percentage of the actual spending by the candidate and their corresponding political parties. And according to a report by the National Commission to Review the Working of the Constitution, which is very important for a UPSC aspirant, high cost of elections create a high degree of compulsion for corruption in the public arena. There are also vote buying. So vote buying, the rise of illegitimate expenditure on vote buying has become a matter of great concern, because it makes only the rich to be more qualified, then a capitalist government will be formed. And because of that, people tend to forget about what freebies are also costing them. Freebies, something that is provided or given free of charge. And that can range from rice at the cheapest rate, laptops, bicycle, free electricity, Now, these promises may be targeted at a particular group of electorates, but they have many concerns related to them. And although people have many a times rejected it, but still political parties continue to compete with each other only by offering such entitlements. If we talk about more problems, issuance of secret bonds we also have, like electoral bonds, which are the bearer bonds that were launched in 2017 in order to cleanse the system of political funding in the country. But its anonymous feature is the main issue, in which neither the donor nor the political party is obligated to reveal whom the donation comes from, defeats the fundamental principle of transparency and criminalization of politics, which refers to a situation in which the anti-social elements, they tend to enter the electoral procedure, and by contesting election they can also form ministries. And after that, if a person who has hard disregard for the laws, how will the person be a good legislator? That comes at a cost. Then if we talk about reforms, the first reform is, of course, we talk about legislative measures from the perspective of legislative measures, because there is a limit on spending of the candidate. Now, at present, under Rule 90 of the Conduct of Election Rules 1961, a candidate contesting Lok Sabha polls can spend up to rupees 70 lakh, and in assembly election it's 20 lakh, 28 lakh, depending on the state in which he or she is contesting the poll. But in 2003, a law was passed by the parliament after the Tehelka scam. According to it, donations to the political parties will receive 100% income tax exemptions from donors. And there is also political party registration tracking management system, which allows an applicant to track the progress of his application. Systematic voters education and electoral participation program, which is organized by ECI for voter awareness campaigns. ECI has developed a scientific base to research on voting behavior of the people. For example, in Jharkhand, 2 elections back, when certain people didn't vote, a survey was conducted to find the reason. Similar can be done now as well in many other states. There is an addition of none of the above. This option has further enabled the people to realize the importance of their vote. So if there is a huge proportion for the people who have voted for Nota, then it may be taken into cognizance that why do all these candidates who have been voted out through Nota, why they were not eligible enough or attractive enough for the vote. So there must be something wrong with the entire electoral system. ECI is continuously taking care to ensure the access to polling stations to Divyangs, people in far-off places, and for distant remote placed voters. Model polling booths have been developed to facilitate women and children and old people to vote, also ensuring flexibility in the Indian election system accordingly. ECI and the court has ensured together that the candidates declare their criminal record and any cases pending or not on their websites. And electronically transmitted postal ballot system, this has in the year 2019 recorded the highest service voter turnout ratio during Lok Sabha. Similar can be seen for as a digital initiative, digital reform that has taken place. So in conclusion, like some challenges such as financing of elections, unfair use of social media and election proxy voting, these are yet to be addressed. Political class and ECI need to come together to find the ways and means to decriminalize the election. Entry of the criminals into politics should be taken as a more serious matter. And that is why we need more and more vigilantism from the viewpoint of voters as well. Electoral reform should be introduced to handle coalitions as well. So as we see in front of us, there are 2 questions which you can practice, and these are previous year questions. First is to enhance the quality of democracy of India. The Election Commission of India has proposed electoral reforms in 2016. What are the suggested reforms and how far they are significant to make democracy successful? In the light of recent controversy regarding the electronic voting machine, what are the challenges before ECI to ensure the trustworthiness of elections in India? So that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.